Well, America's not damaged directly, but we have a president right now that's been feeble and heading towards senility for over a year, possibly more. And it winds up that everyone, including the media, as well as Karine Jean Pierre, has lied to the American public at her White House press conferences, saying that all of these faux pas, all of these miscues, all of these blank stares that President Biden has had were strictly um, fake, deep fake videos, when in actuality, anybody who saw them knew that they weren't. And she expected the American public to believe this. And this has been a conspiracy against the American public for lying about the competency of a sitting president at a time when we have a Ukraine crisis, while we have an economic malaise, where we have such a huge amount of inflation that even with gains in wages, they have not kept up over the term of his office. And in 1 month, we can see now that the inflation is low enough where people's wages are coming back. But in the reality of this, they've lost thousands of dollars of spendable income based on the inflation. And they feel it at the gas pump, they feel it at the grocery stores, while we've been lied to. And the whole premise of former, yes, as a matter of fact, I want to counter what was just said. While we've had a top down governed economy under Biden, you don't go and create democracy and free markets and act in the benefit of our constitutional republic by clamping down on the free marketplace. You liberate it. You go and reduce regulations, you reduce taxes. That's exactly what President Trump did. And with all due respect to Mr. Galbraith, former Ambassador Galbraith, I want to take direct exception to this notion, the false and basically a lie, that Trump wants to end our democracy. He might want to end mob rule democracy. He does not want to end our constitutional republic. Instead, he wants to legitimately bring our constitutional republic where we have law and order in place. Well, as a question, what this looks like to most Americans who are, whether Democrat or Republican, this looks like a complete manipulation of the uh, election process. And we have many questions similar to the ones that were with Kennedy, similar with the others that occurred since 1963 about this particular assassination attempt, when we had Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, substitute Secret Service agents out for Homeland Security agents there. And they knew that President Trump was in a crosshairs at least 3 minutes before. Plus, they had a questionable suspect roaming around in Butler, Pennsylvania at the rally just a little over a week ago when President Trump was shot. And instead of him in the holding room, they put him up on the stage, even though they knew they had a person of great interest in the audience. No, not directly, but through malfeasance, they did. And by the way, a coincidence occurred, and CNN live um, recorded and presented, at least started to until the assassination attempt, they started to present that rally for the first time that they had ever presented a rally. What a coincidence. There are too many coincidences here. We need to have a full investigation of this. We have to look at the Secret Service head and ask her, and they are asking her today in live testimony at Congress. And after a week, the simplest answers of, did you question the party of interest before President Trump went on, and she stonewalls or says she doesn't know yet. She hasn't fully investigated yet. How long does it take to carry these people who are part of Homeland Security into her office and question them? These questions are too deep. Well, I know he's been on the air for quite a while, and I just want to have my equal time, especially with the outlandish statements former Ambassador Galbraith has made. Well, this is funny that former Ambassador Galbraith spoke about all of those people who came out and support of Kamala Harris. The one name that didn't is right now the puppet master, President Obama, former President Obama, who has not come out and endorsed in his statement. And he says they're going to have a robust convention. So, again, even from the side looking at who the party's nominee is going to be, that is yet to be decided based on a Democrat convention. And of course, these claims of rape and felony and malfeasance, the charges were brought after years on these cases, and relative to the 34 counts, this was a court run by Alvin Bragg and then prosecuted by a far left within a court of a far left judge. So these cases, including the one where we had documents, the documents case has been thrown out. And the rape charges, by the way, I want to mention something to your audience. The rape charges, the, the rape charges were never determined. It's not just successful; it's about the rule of law, and it's about our uh, elements of government where we have checks and balances. Right now, the Democrats are trying to take over the Supreme Court by packing the Supreme Court. They've been within two votes. Both Manchin and Sinema have pushed back against this, and they desperately want to pack the court with socialists so that in turn they can run roughshod over our Constitution. And as President Obama has said, and he's still in the background pulling these strings, fundamentally transform America from a constitutional republic to a socialist country, more similar to the Soviet Union. And they're also creating hugely fascist regulatory regimens for our economy and promoting bad policies that are going to destroy our economy based on energy. They want to pack the court with 16 justices so they can literally put an avalanche of leftists in our Supreme Court who will be rubber stamps for any future Democrat president and stymie any president who has any conservative values that where we want to retain our fundamental constitutional framework of our founding fathers. Well, it's the word of the American people in the most recent polling, and it's also knowledge that President Trump loves America and the America that was founded under our Constitution. And we have to realize that no man is going to take a bullet when he has already reached the pinnacle of his career. He's already attained a presidency. He's already had the most robust growth across every demographic in wages for Blacks, for Hispanics, for Asians, for women, for veterans, and all Americans, based on the greatest tax cut that had ever occurred, based on dollar value. Wages skyrocketed for the first time since before 2000, when they had stagnated for a huge period of time, all from 2000 on, whether it was under President uh, uh, Bush or President Obama. And when he won that race in 2016, Hillary Clinton went on every talk show and said that the race was stolen, and not one ramification occurred against her. There were no ramifications whatsoever. So the idea that President Trump doesn't love democracy should be stated this way. President Trump believes in a, this is very important. The United States was conceived as a republic, as a democratic republic. What's that? Well, that's absolutely true. The United States withdrew our Patriot missiles immediately as of March of 2001 when President Biden came into office. Then he went hat in hand for additional petroleum resources and natural gas resources to the Saudi Arabians. He's gone and propped up Venezuela with a deal to put Chevron into Venezuela to help them reinstate their oil production and natural gas production, while at the same time he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, causing an extra $10 per barrel on the cost of oil coming in from Canada, our trifecta of oil producers in North America and natural gas producers in North America. And in addition to that, we know that President Trump wants us to drill for oil. And well, relative to Russia, he stood directly opposed to the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. As a matter of fact, you saw President Biden, after a short conversation with President Putin, just a few weeks later, remove all sanctions against the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and it was completed. And when it was completed, that became the point in time where Russia knew it had the ability to cut off Ukraine and then potentially go after the Baltic states, especially Lithuania and especially Poland. But right now, that invasion is right on the shoulders of President Biden for ending all sanctions against the Nord Stream 2 pipeline and then pacifying President Putin by not saying that there would be deleterious and grievous consequences to any invasion of Ukraine. This man is feeble, weak, and ineffective, and he brings on these worldwide tragedies and conflicts that we have seen. And it emboldens our enemies, it weakens our allies. Stormy Daniels has nothing to do with foreign policy. So one of the people in England said, "I'd rather have a man who says something about female genitalia than having a pussy in the White House like President Biden." And I couldn't agree with that lady more. and she's an outspoken critic of the far left in England, just as I am here in the United States. But it's astonishing to place the blame of a failed withdrawal that Biden himself said would take a year, and Biden started in April and May and withdrew by the end of August. And he said the only way that could be done is by leaving our lethal equipment and war materials in Afghanistan. And that's exactly what Biden did. And when it came time to stop the Russians, it wasn't President Trump in office. Let's not rewrite history here. Let's not rewrite history on every single one of the debacles that Biden was presiding over. By the way, this isn't about sex. This isn't about a making sure that you check all the boxes of gay, woman, black. It's about getting the best president into the Oval Office, and there's only one person right now nominated in the Republican Party who can do that better than any person in this country. The American people, by and large, know that President Trump believes in them. He loves America. He loves Americans, and he's going to put Americans first. And that's why Republicans are going to win unless we have the election stolen, period. Thank you very much. And it was really a pleasure to have a former ambassador on with us so I could debate with him. It's been a real pleasure. And although I disagree with the man, I'm just amazed by him. A Dumb and Dumber Biden and Kamala Harris, Dumb and Dumber, and now Dumber's going to take office. That sounds like a wonderful plan. You're very welcome, and I appreciate your having me on and having this opportunity to debate and fight, fight, fight for America. Because when America's strong, our allies are strong, including Kurdistan and all of Iraq. Thank you.